Within the hour, Sergeants Kechetigo and Greveret called out orders. Advance toward the west, away from the heavy fighting. The sharpshooters would again be on picket duty. They and several other regiments would march across large fields and align themselves in the woods on the other side. From that position, they could prevent Confederate regiments from circling behind and attacking Union troops already engaged in heavy fighting. Generals Grant and Burnside relied on the sharpshooters' keen marksmanship to pick off any enemy soldiers leading such an advance. Tom Kechetigo and Daniel Mwakewenah watched as other companies started across the fields. They noticed that the men's blue uniforms were easily spotted against the plants and soil. Their clothing was going to make them easy targets. Traditional Anishinaabe stories about the Ogichida said they were smart, savvy fighters and hunters. They concealed themselves from the view of enemies or prey. Using Anishinaabe wisdom, Kechetigo and Mwakewenah scraped up soil and rubbed it into their uniforms. Before entering the woods on the other side of the fields, they wedged leaves and twigs into their belts and the straps of their caps. Charles Allen and others quickly copied the hastily made camouflage. At first, soldiers in other companies scoffed, but it wasn't long before they adopted the tactic. When Company K had practiced drills back at Camp Parole in Annapolis, their precisely executed maneuvers impressed the officers of other regiments. Maintaining sharp battle lines in the woods was impossible. Branches slapped the men in the face. Tree roots snagged their shoes. Ankles twisted on uneven ground. And, distressingly, some soldiers found human skulls and bones on the forest floor, grim reminders of the Battle of Chancellorsville the previous year. The entire regiment of sharpshooters abandoned all attempts to remain in battle lines. Instead, they zigzagged from tree to tree. The tangled undergrowth was so dense that Captain Andress and Lieutenant Greveret lost sight of their men when as little as 50 yards separated them. It was obvious why the area was called the Wilderness. Canteens swung at the soldiers' side as they bushwhacked their way into position. Daniel Mwakewenah had tucked a stick about a foot long and an inch wide into his gear. He planned to notch it with a mark for each rebel soldier he shot. For hundreds of years, American Indian warriors had counted each courageous act, or coup, committed in battle. Such acts included touching or killing an enemy warrior, or stealing horses. The number of coups a fighter made increased his prestige. To keep an accurate count, a warrior carried a coup stick and carved a notch into it for each one. Daniel Mwakewenah's coup stick upheld Ogichidao tradition. Throughout the morning, Charles Allen, the Mashkas, Joseph Gibson, and their Company K comrades waited in position. The Otto brothers, Marcus and Solomon, tried to stay within sight of each other, as did James and John Mashka. Several other Union regiments, also hidden in the woods, waited a few hundred yards to their left. Kechetigo passed Captain Andress's orders to Allen and the others. Fire at will, but don't waste bullets. Don't shoot, Sergeant Henry Greveret would have cautioned the men, until you see a rebel soldier or, even better, an officer, who would probably be on horseback. Sporadic gunfire peppered the air. Meanwhile, the battle intensified along a road about a mile away. Confederate armies pressed Union troops in a massive advance. The regiments close to the sharpshooters retreated and joined the Union troops as they repelled the advancing rebel forces. That left the 1st Michigan sharpshooters alone. By noon, more than 5 regiments from North Carolina had moved onto the high ground that faced Company K. Artillery batteries blasted them. The 14th North Carolina Infantry moved down into the woods and attacked. Spotting the enemy in the thick undergrowth was hard. Company K's soldiers shot and reloaded as fast as they could. Each time Daniel Mwakewenah, or any soldier, pulled the trigger, the gunpowder inside his rifle's barrel ignited and produced a cloud of white smoke. Hidden momentarily by smoke, he had just seconds to reload. Mwakewenah's nostrils prickled with the sharp odor of burnt gunpowder. Around him, bullets tore through the air, sounding like buzzing bees and whining mosquitoes. Shells chunked into tree trunks and exploded. Splinters of bark rained on the men. Mwakewenah repeatedly reloaded and shot until the barrel of his rifle was hot enough to burn his skin. Mentally, He counted coup.